Hello, this is Mark from the MeTechie channel. Thanks for joining me on this video. Today we're talking about using and creating a Macintosh RAM disk. For those of you who remember, we used to use RAM disks all the time back in the day because that was the fastest way to get things done. Anything that required a lot of read-write activity, it would be a lot quicker than the slow hard drives that we had back in the day. Now, today's day and age with macOS Catalina is what I'm using here. Pretty much everyone has an SSD drive at this point, or at least a Fusion drive. So speed is really not as big of an issue as it once was. It probably isn't an issue at all, in fact. But what you do have is you still have some nice benefits and privileges of making a RAM disk today, if not for anything other than simply a way to put files into your RAM disk and know that when you shut down your computer, all those files will disappear. So in a sense, it's a temporary folder that makes life a lot more convenient and easy. At least it does for me. I use this thing day in, day out for everything. Take, for example, you want to download something. A lot of times you just want to download it, look at something, you don't really want to keep it, or you want to use it temporarily in a project. Let's say you're downloading a graphic, you want to use that in a project, use it in the project, then you end up deleting the graphic. And what ends up happening is that you go to your downloads folder and you always have to empty the downloads folder and blah, blah, blah. Well, the RAM disk is a great place to store stuff that you download, knowing that you're just going to use it or temporarily look at it, but you don't want it at the end of the day. So if you're the type of person that shuts your computer off periodically or every day for that matter, this might really be helpful for you. So this RAM disk is really special in, it's just awesome. It's like writing directly to your available RAM. Now, on my computer here, I'm using a pretty heavy-duty computer. It's a pretty modern Mac. I am using macOS Catalina 10.15.1 as of this video. Today is November 6th, 2019. So if you're using any other vintage, if you've got a newer operating system or an older operating system, what you're about to learn here may not work for you, but at least the idea will work, and you can possibly adjust the syntax to make it work for you. Okay, so let's make a RAM disk and see what that's all about. I also want to talk about how much RAM I have, give you a perspective here. Okay, so I've got 32 gigabytes of RAM installed, so there's plenty of room for a RAM disk. Here's what it looks like. I've got a little RAM disk here. This is a 3 gig or 4 gig, well, it's essentially a 3 gig RAM disk. And if I were to take a file, like a FileMaker file here, to throw that in there, you can see it works and acts just like a regular folder. Now, if I were to shut the computer down or even unmount this RAM disk, this file will disappear. But what's also interesting and kind of exciting about a RAM disk is that it makes a copy of your file instead of just moving it from one folder to another. It actually makes a copy. You can think of a RAM disk not unlike what you'd see here on a removable disk or a thumb drive for that matter. So it acts just like that, except it's a temporary space in that if you unmount the RAM disk or restart the computer, it's adios, it's gone. All right, so you can copy files to that here, and I'll just do that. You can see it made a copy of these two files. Now, the other cool thing about a RAM disk here, I know I'm selling the RAM disk, going crazy selling it. Well, let me just prove that point. Here I've got files on the RAM disk. Watch what happens when I eject it. The RAM disk is gone, and so are the files. That's it. So it's a clever way to kind of clean things up. Now, let's talk about the speed. First, of course, at the end of this video, I'll actually show you how to do this, make a RAM disk, but I have this application that I made, and you're going to be blown away as to how easy this is to make. It's just unbelievably easy. Let's see, I actually call the app makeramdisk.app, and just opening that app creates the RAM disk, and now I've got a new 3 gig swap space here, and I didn't have to pay anybody. I think I did learn the technique online. It's essentially a series of DOS commands. Or one DOS, it's not really a DOS command, it's a terminal command. But that was easy. So where was I going with it? Okay, so I've got my RAM disk created here. Oh, speed. All right, so let's take a look at the speed test. Speed, what do we use for that? Blackmagic. Oh, so I'm using Blackmagic Speed Tester. You can get this on the internet too, or maybe the App Store. I can't remember where I got this. And you want to select the target drive to the RAM disk. And well, before I do that, let's just write to my desktop so you can see the differences here. I'm going to use a 1 gigabyte stress test and start. So this is doing a read-write test to my local hard drive, which is an SSD and a super fast SSD at that. You can see here I'm getting tremendous speed, both about 2,000 megabytes per second or a little more for the read and the write. Okay. And you say, okay, well, you had me at 2000. I mean, that's really, really fast read-write speeds. At least it is for 2019. What if we select our target drive to the RAM disk? What would happen then? So I'll select that same 1 gigabyte stress test and wait for it. Here it comes. Something happened because there we go, 7,000 megabytes per second. That's pretty impressive if you ask me. So it still reads and writes like a mother, and basically it's going as fast as your RAM will let it. Nothing is quicker than this for a personal computer in terms of read-write speed. Then again, you have to have a lot of RAM to, do anything decent with it. So I make it just a 3 gig RAM disk. That's enough to burn a video or, compress a video using some of my tools here when I make videos. All right, so how do you make this thing? It's actually quite easy. And if you've never worked with it before, I'm going to go ahead and delete this now. It's a program that's built into your Macintosh called Automator. So you can just do a spotlight search for Automator and bring that up. And let's see, I'm going to go up to new here, and this will create a brand new application. So that's what you want to do. You want to actually create an application. Do a little robot here and click choose. And all you need is a command called shell, because you're going to run a shell script right here. So I'll open that here. And that's all there is to it. Just keep it as a bin bash. And we're going to put a command in here, and then we're going to look at that. Now, I'm going to cheat and go and look at the app that I've already created. So I'm going to do a file open and look at that make RAM disk app that I've been running this whole time. And we'll see. Just going to copy and paste this into my new app like that. So let me show you how this works. First, this double slash here means comment. So this is a comment that won't actually evaluate when the application runs. It's just a little comment for me that says, take the size of the RAM disk you want in gigabytes and multiply by 2048 and use that as your number at the end of this string. And the end of the string here is the 6144000 that you see. So the command is diskutil space erasevolume space HFS plus single quote RAM disk. What is that? An accent? hdiutil attach dash non-mount space RAM : / and then the number in size. So the name of the RAM disk is going to be this disk erase, the thing in the single quotes is the RAM disk, and then the end string is the size. So I wanted a 3 gig RAM disk. So if you take a look here, I'll just put in 3000, which stands for 3000 megabytes or 3 gigabytes times 2048, and you get 6144000. That is my size that I need. And that's it. Now I just save this. I'll just do a save here, and we'll call it new app. You can put it anywhere. I happen to put it on, well, let's just put it on new RAM disk. New RAM disk. And I won't put it in my applications. I don't want to get confused with the other one. Let's just put it on my desktop. Here we go. And click save. So then you can change your icon. You can simply, let's say I wanted this kind of an icon here. All right, so I can do a get info on that, which is Control or Command I, and then copy this icon up here. And then I'm going to go into a program called Snagit. Snagit is my little art program. Not really an art program. It allows you to take clips and things like that. So I've got this great icon here. Let's make it into an actual icon that's sized correctly. And let's just see if I can change the color of this quickly. And I'm showing you 10 million things at once here, but I want to fill this with, I don't know, this kind of a lousy yellow. What's going on here? I need to flatten this, probably flatten all. And then fill this with that. That's terrible. That's probably going to be just as bad. Yep. Well, let me do this. All right, that'll be something different. All right, so let's just save that. I can just copy this, and then I can get info on this icon. That's Command I, and paste. Can I paste that in there? I guess it isn't working like that. Why doesn't that let me paste? Maybe I have to flatten it again. No. Copy. Paste. There we go. All right, now I've got my terrible icon for my new app. But when I double click this, it will create a RAM disk right here in 3 gigabytes size. Okay. So what if I just wanted to change this to, let's say, 1 gigabyte? So it'd be 1000 times 2048 is 2048,000. So let's change that. 2048,000. Save that. What am I going to do? Save anyway. Quit that. And double click this and see. Yeah, there it is. This should be 1 gig now. And it is. Capacity 1.05 gig. And that's it. That's how you make a RAM disk. You're going to use the Automator program. The icon is optional, but you're going to use the Automator program. You're going to paste that string. Now, that string, I kind of blew through that real quickly. If you want the string, I'll paste it into the description of this video so you can see what that's all about. But essentially, that's it. Now, honest to God, I use this on all 3 of my computers, all 3 Macs. I have a laptop and a desktop at work and a desktop here at home. And I live and die by this thing. I've had it for 15 years that I've been using a RAM disk, and I was really disappointed when Catalina wasn't supporting the application that I had to make it. So I went online and figured out, how am I going to make this? And sure enough, somebody was generous to put the terminal command. I said, what if I made that into an app using Automator, which was just a total whim and a guess. And sure enough, there it is. So anyway, enjoy that. If you like this sort of thing, we'll do more of it. I've got like a billion of these tidbits running around in my head just from working with the Mac, close to 16 hours a day, almost. Not every day 16 hours, but most days are at least 10 or 12. At least 10 or 12 every day working on the Mac. And I've been doing that since 1991, since I really started getting into the Macintosh computer. I also use Windows 2 and AWS and all that stuff. But I mean, man, oh man. I just live, breathe, and drink this technology. All right, enough about that. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.